Hi, it's time for more travel talk. I'm Emily Kaufman, the travel mom, and we've all been going through a stressful time. And my goal is, since we can't be visiting destinations right now, I want to bring destinations to you. And with that in mind, I'm excited to be teaming up with Civana, and Amanda Grant, their Chief Wellness Officer, is joining me today to share some great tips. Hi, Amanda.
How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm sitting here in my backyard because that's one of the places that I find less stressful for me. Where are you right now?
So I'm at Civana on our yoga lawn, which is one of my favorite places to hold classes or just to sit and be still. And then on the other side of me right now is our walking labyrinth, which is also one of my favorite spots here.
Well, it was one of my favorite spots there as well. I visited Civana with my daughter in February, and it really was such a relaxing environment from the moment I walked in the door. So I'm so excited to have you here because I think it is a stressful time for people. And it would be nice for everyone to have the opportunity to find some ways to de-stress. Do you have any tips and pointers?
Yeah, so I think the first thing that has worked for me in the past is just to reset your relationship with stress, right? Like, I feel like stress gets a bad rap when really all it is just a signal for the body to pay attention, right? And so when we notice ourselves getting out of alignment, or we notice ourselves in what my practice calls incoherent, which means that our parasympathetic and our sympathetic nervous systems aren't cooperating, that's just a signal to check in, to slow down, to notice the breath, and to try to come into the present moment, to be with what's happening. And so, my first tip is always try to rebalance that expectation around how you're supposed to be in this moment, because this is a very challenging moment. This is not anything we've seen in our lifetime by any means. And so being really gentle with yourself and moving slowly and intentionally is always my first suggestion. And when you do find yourself getting stressed, it's okay. We're human. It's a natural response that our body has created to protect us. And so having a little less judgment around that sense of anxiety that tends to rise up when we're in unknown situations would be definitely my first suggestion always.
I love that, because you can practice that wherever you are, whether you're in your house or you're in your backyard, or even when you're taking a bath at night. I love that you can do that wherever you are in that moment. That's a great tip. What else do you suggest?
Well, I'm a little biased. I'm a meditation teacher. So whether you call it meditation or breathing or prayer, spending some time in contemplation every day, spending some time in inner inquiry. I like to do that with my eyes closed. It's an invitation to turn your gaze inward and become that one who notices, become that one who thinks, become that one who gets stressed, who judges, who maybe reacts out of ego, and really just begin to get into alignment with whatever's happening. And so meditation for me is frankly a necessity for me to be like a functioning human. So that would be another kind of core tip, outside of changing your perspective. Really spending a concerted amount of time every day focused on a meditation practice or prayer practice or a breath practice.
Well, for someone who's never meditated before, it can be a little bit intimidating. For somebody who's just getting started and wants to take this advice and begin meditation, do you have any suggestions or tips? Just kind of a little explanation, a basic guide to meditation?
Sure, yeah. So I've been in some form of meditation or contemplation for about, 20 years now. And my practice has gone from very secular to non-secular and everywhere in between. And I now am anchored in a practice called Vipassana. And Vipassana translates into English as open awareness or clear seeing. So in this way, I like to point out that there is absolutely no such thing as a bad meditation, and there's no such thing as a bad meditator. If you're breathing, you're meditating. And our job is just to come back to the present moment just as it is. If you've got a busy mind, that's just what's happening. So my most simple practice is anchoring in the breath, and I'd be happy to kind of walk us through an exercise as we close today, if that would be useful for folks.
I would love to learn that for everybody else, and also for me as well. Sometimes I put so much pressure on myself with meditation to block out all those thoughts, to do it for a certain time limit. And I would love to take your guidance and maybe do a little guided meditation and learn more.
Yeah, and maybe do you want to do that now, or do you want to?
Yeah, I would love to. And I would love to invite anybody who's watching to join along too. You can do wherever you are. If you're sitting in front of your computer, in front of your TV, wherever you are, let's take a minute and let Amanda teach us a little something.
Perfect. Okay, so just begin by finding yourself wherever you are. If you're standing or sitting or just wherever you are, find yourself present. And if it's comfortable for you, and if you're not driving, you might close your eyes or just gently soften your gaze, whatever is most comfortable for you. And just notice how the body makes contact with the earth. And if you're seated, you might notice how the sits bones contact the seat you find yourself in. If you're standing, you might notice how the feet connect with the earth. And just gently turn your attention toward your breath. Beginning to notice for yourself what it feels like for the body to inhale. As you inhale, you might sense how the body expands, how the body takes in air, how the chest rises or the belly rises. And as you exhale, you might even notice a sense of arrival, or maybe even of the body softening, coming into now, just as it is. Nothing to do, nowhere to be. This moment, inside of this body, breathing this breath. And if you notice the mind thinking or wandering or planning or dreaming, give yourself some credit for noticing. A little pat on the back. And just come back to attuning to the breath. And perhaps breathing in a bit of gratitude for this body that breathes itself all day long. And when you're ready, in your own time, always in your own time, allowing the eyes to very softly open. And coming back to wherever you find yourself, beginning to notice your surroundings. And notice if you've softened.
Wow, Amanda. That was really beautiful. and really helpful and really useful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So when people do visit Civana, they can have experiences like this and other things as well. What are some other of the wellness offerings at Civana?
So yeah, Savannah's built on this idea that wellness does not have to be prescriptive or restrictive, right? I think when we go into this method of like judging our own place in our own journey and being like, okay, I need to cut this out of my diet, or I need to go running more, or I need to find more time to meditate, or I need, and you get into this like kind of icky space where it doesn't feel good, right? And so the concept of Civana is that you can be simultaneously happy and healthy, right? And you get to decide what that means for you because you're your own guru. And so what we do here is we really provide the container for wellness. And what that means to us is movement, mindfulness, personal discovery, our spa, which you had an outrageous experience in, which I'd love for you to tell our guests about. And then fifth is our nutrition pillar, right? Like, so good food can also be extremely tasty, and our executive chef and his team here do a really fabulous job. So we're really creating the conditions for you to be well, and then you get to design what that means to you. And when you stay here, all of your classes are included with your stay. And you can choose to go into the spa one day and lay by the pool, or the next day you can choose to take any one of our 10 to 20 classes per day. And it's really up to you.
Well, I did take advantage of a lot of those. And as you mentioned, I loved the spa. The Aqua Therapy for me was an amazing experience. You start in an icy cold pool of water, and then you spend about a minute in there. Is that correct, Amanda?
Actually, it's flipped around. You want to start in a hot element. So you'll spend, it depends on your body, but you'll start in a hot element, and then you'll move to a warm element, and then you'll move to our cold element. And it's contrast therapy. So what it's doing is constricting your blood vessels and then opening them back up, and then constricting them back down. And that's essentially acting like a plunger for the body and getting rid of any toxicity, increasing your blood flow. It has innumerable benefits to it. But yeah, that by itself is a therapy, and it's just something you can do when you go into the spa. And it's not anything you have to book. It's just an amenity that we have in our spa.
Well, I enjoyed that immensely. I'd never done anything like that before. And I also learned in a workshop, I did Angel Whispers, which was a tarot card workshop. I've had my cards read by people before, yet this one was different because I was taught how to read my own cards.
Right. Yeah, and that's one of the principles here is that we're returning you to your own intelligence. We don't get to tell you how to be or what to do. Your heart has its own intelligence, and our job really here is to help you peel back the layers that are getting in the way of that. And so when it comes to like getting your tarot cards read, you're used to kind of a top-down mentality, whereas from here you're really cultivating your own practice so that when you go home, it's much more sustainable exit, right? Like, because then you can take these practices and make them your own, and help those around you. And that's the real mission of this place, is to help more people enter wellness. And the more we can do that in every facet of this property, the better we feel about what we're doing, frankly.
I learned so much and had such a wonderful experience on your property. I have a blog at thetravelmom.com that is filled with information, pictures, and posts from when I visited Civana. So if people are curious and they'd like to learn more, check out thetravelmom.com. Amanda, thank you so much for joining us today. This has been such an important lesson, and I appreciate you sharing your wisdom with all of us.
It genuinely is my pleasure, and it's an honor to spend time with you.
Thank you.